Today we are renewing our special relationship for new times. Ours is not an alliance of convenience, it is a partnership of purpose. It's a partnership that at times of challenge is resilient and at times of change is constant. President Obama and I are agreed about the significance of this week's G20 meeting, that the world is coming together to act in the face of unprecedented global financial times. Our first duty is to those who are suffering most, the people anxious about their mortgages, their jobs, and their family's future. For them, the pain of recession is all too real. But let us not forget that in 1929, when the Wall Street crash happened and led to recession, it was not until 1945 that the world came together to reshape the world economy. Then it took more than 15 years. Today, within months of this financial crisis, we are coming together to solve the common problems we face. We are cooperating to shorten the recession, and we are working together to protect and save jobs. The truth is that today's global problems require global solutions. And at this week's summit, when leaders representing 85% of the world's economy are gathering together, this summit cannot simply agree to the lowest common denominator. We must stand united in our determination to do whatever is necessary. This is an unprecedented financial crisis. People have lost their homes, their jobs, and in some cases, their hope. And President Obama and I are agreed today that the actions we take are global solutions requiring for global problems. There are really 5 tests for the G20 summit, 5 tests for the world, tests that, if met, will create a new consensus for the world. The speed and scale of global economic change has overwhelmed the national systems of rules and regulations. So our first test is to agree tougher and more transparent supervision of banks, hedge funds, and what is known as the global shadow banking system. We have both agreed there will be no sustainable recovery until the banks are cleaned up and a new regulatory system is put in place. The second test is to commit to taking the action necessary to bring about a resumption of growth, push back against the global recession, and support families and businesses. The third test is to ensure by international economic cooperation and by strengthening our international economic institutions, we support growth in emerging markets and developing countries. The fourth test is to reject protectionism and kickstart global trade, and I've suggested an absolute minimum of $100 billion of trade finance that is so desperately needed. Fifth, we have an obligation to help the poorest, those most vulnerable, but least able to respond to the crisis, by meeting our Millennium Development Goals and keeping our pledges on aid. Both the United Kingdom and the United States are also embarked on a transition to becoming low-carbon economies, because the President and I share the conviction that green energy technologies will be the major driver of our future economic growth, and we can create millions of green-collar jobs in the world for the future. Now, we have some tough negotiations ahead. It will not be easy, but I know from my talks this week and from my discussions with President Obama today that the world does want to come together, that Britain and America working together can help make this consensus not just something that is agreed on paper, but which truly delivers for people everywhere who are worried about their jobs and their hopes and their family budgets. Today, we, the G20 leaders, will begin our discussions. Tomorrow, we must make decisions, and that is what we will do.